Welcome everyone, and I want you to find that comfortable seat where your shoulders are over your hips so your spine is nice and long. And as you settle in, starting to focus on the breath moving in and out of your body. And I like to use this time not only to get grounded and centered with the breath, but to notice how the body's feeling. So as you're breathing, just wiggle whatever parts you need to feel into them. Just noticing what is. And thinking about how you want to feel when we are done with our practice today. And setting your intention. Doing that in whatever manner works for you. And then when you're ready, we're actually going to start with our hands. So once you set your intention, I just want you to interlace your fingers and start to roll through your wrists a couple times in each direction. And then we're going to take one wrist up, one wrist down, kind of pressing, but in a way that feels, you're pressing one wrist away and the other wrist towards you. And then we're going to switch sides. Sometimes it's a new movement. And then you're going to take one hand like you're saying stop, and then I want you to put your fingers on your hand, not your fingers, and pull. And of course, the higher up you go on your fingers, the more leverage there is, but I want you to not overextend, but still pull. And then we're going to turn the fingers down, and again, holding towards the top of the hand and then pressing down, not the top of the hand, near the wrist. And then the second side. And with this, you can make it as strong a stretch as you want, right? But just making sure you don't overdo it. And then we're going to point the fingers down. You're still breathing as you're noticing what's happening in your body. And then when you're done, just shaking your hands out a little bit. And we're going to take the right arm up and bend the elbow. Take that hand onto your back body. And then I want you to make some circles with your elbow, a couple times in each direction. And when you're done, you're going to point that elbow up and try to walk your fingers down your back body more. And some people like to massage their tricep or press the elbow. Sometimes I just like to walk the fingers down and get a stretch from walking the fingers. So do what feels best for you. And we're going to take the other hand and reach up towards your elbow. And I want you to keep your butt on the ground, and you're going to reach over to the side. So notice when your butt starts to disconnect and bring it back down to the ground. Keep breathing. And on one of those inhales, we'll come up, and then we're going to take the left hand and again walk the fingers down the back body, and we're going to make circles a couple times in each direction. And you're just noticing how it moves. If it hurts, you back off. And then eventually we'll point that elbow up, walk the fingers down, or massage your tricep and press back with your hand, whatever feels best today. Because not every day is the same. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to take that right hand to the outside of the elbow, keep your butt on the ground, and reach over to the side. Oh. You're still breathing. And then when you start to feel done on an inhale, you're going to come up and we're going to take the hands down to the ground. And I'm just stretching out my legs so you can see what I'm doing with my hands, but I'm going to take the tops of my hands towards the ground and straighten out the elbows and start to lean back a little bit. So it's a little bit of a different way to stretch the front of your wrists. And you can feel like the closer I am to the front, the less it stretches, and the more I move back, the more it stretches. Does that make sense? And you'll see, some of you, as you move back, your hands will disconnect from the ground. So see if you can press the hands into the ground as you lean back. And then again, we're going to shake them out. And last one, I want you to bring your right arm out to the side. And you're going to inhale and then exhale. Start to sweep that arm over to the side. Then you're going to turn your palm and exhale, press out. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Got it. Took a minute. So you're just kind of sweeping and pressing, and see, like when you turn your palm, see if you can feel it move into the connective tissue. It's a little bit of a different movement. And we're going to take the second arm and do that same thing. So inhale with the arm out, exhale as you sweep across. Inhale, press. Exhale, across. Not what you were expecting this morning, maybe.
Like swimming.
Yeah, it is. And then we're gonna take, last thing for the hands for now, you're gonna take your tennis balls and bring them out to the sides. And at first, I want you to put the meaty part of your hand, like under the thumb, onto the tennis balls and kind of press down. And you can roll, you can stretch out your fingers and press. And then just kind of explore, you know, and it's not the same as when we roll our feet, because you know, there's a lot more pressure when we press our foot into the tennis ball. So most of us won't smush the tennis ball very much with our hands, unless you have really smushy tennis balls. Now, and then you'll want to move to other parts of your hand. So we start at the meaty part, but you want to do as much of the hand as you can. Now, and I know, you know, we're each in different places with what we're doing, but whenever you're done rolling your hand, I want you to hold the tennis balls in your hand and then squeeze. This helps with the jar opening, you know, which is a really important skill.
It is.
All right. So we can set them, actually, we're not going to set them to the side because I want to do the front of the pelvis, so your butt's on the floor. You all know because we do this all the time. And then you'll straighten out the legs however much you want to. And you either go side to side and or front to back. So we're trying to get those connectors that come into the pelvis from the legs, just soften them a little bit. You're still breathing. Does it stretch in your back when you're doing it?
It gives me a little bit of discomfort.
Maybe if you took the tennis balls forward a little bit.
I ended up doing it.
And then I want to do 2 more locations here, but you're going to do whatever sounds most inviting. We're going to do the outside, the sides of the pelvis, so like right in the center of your glute. And those you can either do one at a time, or you can move back and forth, right? Depending on how deeply you want to go into your glute. And you control how much weight and pressure goes into that tennis ball. Interesting? Is it the back?
It's and glute.
And glute.
You're walking a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Which is nice.
Now, again, if you've been doing one side, you're going to do the other side. The last one we're going to do is to the low back. So you're sitting up, you're going to press those tennis balls in, and then lean back, and you decide how far down your body comes towards the ground. You might bend your knees, and again, move the pelvis either front to back or side to side, or both. And you might even move your tennis balls in and out a little bit, depending on how that low back feels. But you want to be really gentle, right? So from here, again, you're moving at your own pace. When you're ready, we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. And you might like a blanket under your knees. Now, some of us have a hard time being on our hands, even though we were like stretching our wrists and whatever. You could be on your forearms here. And once you find your place on your hands and knees, I want you to bring up your right knee out to the side, and you're gonna start to make circles, just like we did with our elbows and our shoulders. So you're just gonna make some circles with your knee, or your leg, whatever you wanna call it, and then a couple times in each direction. When you feel complete with that, we're gonna take that knee down and then do the second side. And you're still breathing as you're noticing how it feels in your back body and your hip, wherever you're feeling sensation. Make sure you go a couple of times in each direction. And again, you're on your elbows or your hands. Eventually, we're going to take that knee down to the ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to inhale, take that leg up towards the sky, and exhale, bring your head and your knee towards one another. So inhale, exhale. Moving with your breath, no rush. One more time. And then after your head and your knee come towards one another, we do the second side. So again, inhale, extend, exhale, head and knee towards one another. All right, so next time your head and knee come towards one another, you're going to pause for a moment. I want you to take your knees just slightly behind your hips, and we're going to come down onto the elbows. And you want to make sure that it's a firm foundation, right? So your hands are facing the ground, your fingers are slightly spread, and we're going to turn the toes under and come up into a modified down dog. And then I just want you to bend your knees and straighten your legs with your breath. When you straighten the legs, you're reaching the heels towards the ground. And then one of these times, you're going to keep the legs straight and just pedal through the feet. You're still breathing. And then when you feel complete, you're going to take those knees down, come back up onto your hands, and we're going to step forward with the right foot and slide that back knee behind your hip a little bit so that you're getting a little stretch in the front of your hip flexor. Now from here, we're going to keep the left hand down on the ground and make a gentle little twist, belly towards the inner thigh. And you might use your hand to help the twist a little bit, the hand that's on the thigh. And of course, you're still breathing. On one of these exhales, we're going to turn back towards the floor, and we're going to straighten out that front leg. If you're using blocks, you'll bring them back with you. And I want you to point and flex through your foot. Just kind of noticing how that feels. And if you find your knee bending toward the floor, it's okay to keep a little bend in it so that you're not hyperextending your knees. One of these times, we're going to keep the leg straight, however straight is straight for us, with your foot flexed. Inhale, body up. Exhale towards your leg. You're just going to move with your breath. Inhale is up. Exhale, come forward. One more time. And when you come on up, we're gonna bend that knee and bring it back and step our other foot forward. And again, bending that front knee, sliding your back knee behind the hip. We're gonna stay here for a couple of breaths. And you're noticing how it feels, and you aren't getting any stretch in the front of your hip flexor. Maybe you need to bring your knee back a little bit more. You're still breathing. And then eventually keeping your right hand on the ground as a block, left hand onto the thigh, belly towards the inner thigh. On one of these exhales, we'll turn back towards the ground. You're gonna straighten that front leg, walk your hands, blocks back as well if you're using them. And we're gonna point and flex the foot. Eventually, we're gonna keep that foot flexed. Inhale, body up. Exhale, towards your leg. One more time. And so next time you come up, we're gonna bring our front leg back, and we're gonna come onto our hands and knees. And this can be done on your back body as well, you know, taking your knees towards your chest if it doesn't work being on your knees. So wrists slightly in front of your shoulders, knees slightly behind your hips. We're gonna inhale in the tabletop. Notice your core engagement, and then exhale down towards child's pose. Again, moving slowly with your breath, allowing the back to round as you come towards the ground. Now you may, when you come up on the inhale, walk your hands slightly more forward and let your hips come towards the floor, and then exhale back towards child's pose. Or you can continue to come up to tabletop. Now, the next time that you come back towards your child's pose, I want you to come up onto the right fingers, and you're gonna slide that left arm underneath and allow your shoulder, possibly in your head, to come towards the ground. You might bend that front elbow and start to walk that hand over your head. We're trying to open up the chest and the shoulder a little bit. Long, smooth breaths. And you start to feel complete, we're gonna come back out. And then stretch your right arm out, come up onto the fingertips, and walk your left arm underneath again, possibly taking your ear, your shoulder towards the ground, maybe bending your elbow and walking that hand overhead. All the time still breathing and noticing what's happening in your body. Again, whenever you start to feel complete, you're gonna walk your arm out, come back up into your tabletop, and then we'll come into a kneeling position. And I like to do this with a block in front of me, but you might like to do it with your head just coming to the floor. We're gonna inhale, both arms up, and then exhale, take your hands onto your pelvis and your forehead towards the block of the ground. Inhale, sweep both arms up. Exhale, hands onto the pelvis, forehead towards the floor. One more time. And this time, when we come up, we're going to sweep the right arm up, but keep the left hand on your pelvis. And then exhale, arm And head twists, turns to the left. Inhale back up to the center. We'll stay on the same side. And the next time you come up, we're going to switch sides. So again, inhale is up, exhale, arm towards the floor, head turning to the right now. One more time. And then when you come up, relax that arm, and you're going to come all the way up. Hurry up back because we're going to do our balance soon. So come on up and find a tennis ball. And we're just going to roll through your foot just for a little bit. Okay. No, I said, are you okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then we're going to switch sides. Although as soon as we start doing this, my body is just like, let's just do that. Now, after you roll through that foot enough, and some of you might like to use a back of a chair or a wall for this next one, we're gonna set the tennis ball off to the side, and we're going to come to the top of the foot. So you're just turning your toes under, stretching the front of your foot. It's hard to tame those tennis balls. Don't we all? Then we're going to do that second side. I just always feel better through my wrists and my ankles when I stretch them out a little bit. All right, now for this next one, you can choose to use a tennis ball or have your foot flat on the ground. So you might have that tennis ball underneath your right heel. And then I want you to press down, so you're trying to compress the tennis ball. You have a little bit of yellow sticking out the back, and then the other, the 4 points of your foot, base of the big toe, base of the pinky toe, both sides of the heels, you're gonna come up onto the left toes and just start to pivot through your knee. Move your ball back knee. There, oops. And it might be hard without the mat underneath, the ball may not cooperate. Or you can drag your mat back too. All right, now you're going to keep that knee turned out and slide your heel in towards your ankle. This may be your pose, right? Or you may start to slide that foot up your lower leg. Right? Breathe and focus. Notice how you're using your core. And then some of you may want to start to take your hands up towards the sky. Right? It's all an exploration. You're doing what feels right for you today. Eventually, we'll bring those hands back to the heart center, knee forward, foot comes down to the ground. You're going to step off the tennis ball and take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale, body up, exhale, halfway down, and let your knees bend a little bit, right? We want to relax the back of the pelvis and stretch the back a little bit. That's our purpose here. Inhaling up, exhaling forward, coming back to our center. And the next time that you come up, we're gonna try the second side. So letting go of any preconceived notions. And again, you're gonna try to compress that tennis ball with your left heel, That little bit of yellow sticking out. Use all 4 points of your foot. Come up onto the right toes and start to pivot through the knee. You're breathing. And eventually the knee stays pointed out and you slide that heel into your ankle, hands to the heart center, wherever it's most helpful. And then again, find your focus, find your breath, engage your core, and possibly start to slide your foot up. And then possibly take your arms towards the sky, doing what feels good in your body today. Eventually, bringing those hands back down to the heart center, knee forward, foot comes down. We're going to step off our tennis ball and put it in a safe spot. And one more time, bringing your hands onto your legs. Inhale, body up. Exhale, let your knees bend as much as they want to. Come as deeply as you want. And this time we'll inhale halfway up, and then exhale a little bit more deeply in towards our legs. Of course, you're always making the pose work for your body. Now, the next time you come up, I'm going to invite you to grab a block, and we're going to hold it between our hands. So you're pressing in towards the center on the block. And at first, we're going to do this with our feet flat on the ground. And they may stay flat on the ground the whole time. We're going to think. You're going to inhale up the block. Exhale, you're going to bend your elbows. Don't let them flay out to the sides. Keep them towards your head. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Now, if you want to, you can come up onto the toes. Inhale up. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale up with the block. Exhale, arms and heels down. We're going to do it a couple more times. You decide, if you want to come up onto the toes today. Remember, when you bend those elbows stay towards your head if possible. And remember, when the block comes forward and down, that's when your heels come down. This will be our last time. And we're going to hang on to that block. We're going to bring our block about shoulder height. And you're in a comfortable stance, knees bent slightly maybe. And we're going to inhale, center, exhale. You're going to turn and you're going to follow. You're tracking the block with your eyes. And we're alternating sides. And the next time you finish that second side, we're going to relax the block for a moment, because even though they don't weigh too much, it's still a lot of work, right? Now this time, instead of tracking the block with your eyes, you're going to try to keep your head forward and just move the arms, right? So we're going to inhale, center, exhale. You're going to take the arms over, but your head is going to stay center. And it might feel a little weird after having your head turn. One more time on each side. And then relax those arms. Then we're going to bring that block behind us. So a lot of times we use a strap here. But we're going to use the block. Again, you're pressing in towards the center. And you're going to try to lift those arms away. So you're going to inhale, lift up, exhale, and back towards your butt. And for most of us holding onto the block, we're not going to lift our arms as high as we would, as if we were holding onto a strap or interlacing your fingers. And notice if your body starts to fall forward, try to keep your body upright and just isolate moving those arms.
That's really hard.
It is, yeah, it's
I can't press it on the block. I'm just barely touching it.
It's really hard for a lot of us because we're using muscles that we don't use often. Right, so when you're done with that, we're going to set that down to the ground. And then I just want you to roll through your shoulders a couple times. So inhaling those shoulders up towards the ears, exhale, sliding them behind you. Just noticing how it feels to do that. And then I want you to isolate and just do one shoulder at a time. more time. And then while we're standing here, I want you to, so your head is starting in its neutral position. We're going to drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. And just noticing how the weight of your head stretches the side of your neck. And we'll inhale the head up and do the second side. And you're still breathing. And again, we're going to inhale that head up. We're going to come to the left again. And this time I want you to roll through the right shoulder as your head is pointing to the left. And then keeping the head there, unless it's causing you discomfort, you're going to take up the right arm and bend the elbow and possibly reach up with your left arm, and then you're going to turn your vision towards that right elbow. But you're only going to a place that feels good, right? I want you to keep that in mind. And you're still breathing. We're going to gently release, gently bring your head back to center. Relax that right arm. Next exhale, we'll take the right ear towards the right shoulder. And whenever you're ready, starting to roll through that left shoulder. And if you find that it helps to go in both directions, do that. I like going back here. And again, keeping the head in the same position, you're going to bring up that left arm and bend the elbow, possibly reach up with your right hand, and then possibly take your vision up towards that elbow. Never forcing, still breathing. Again, as you start to feel done, we're going to release the right arm, bring your head back to neutral, bring that right arm down. And let's do one more standing pose before we come to the ground. So I want you to, have your feet a comfortable distance apart. And you're going to bring your hands to your hips, out to the sides, overhead, or to your heart center. And what we're going to do is your weight's going to be in that right foot. You're going to lift up the left leg. Inhale is up. Exhale, you're going to take that leg back. And you let the leg tell your body when to come forward. Then you'll inhale back up. Same side. Start to come towards the ground. The leg is the guide. Right? And whenever you're ready, inhale back up. Last time. Exhaling forward, finding your balance. And then on the inhale, you'll come up with that left foot to the ground, ground down through your left foot. Inhale, right leg up. And again, exhale as you start to come forward, letting your leg guide your body. Inhale up whenever you're ready. Two more times. And you could, I didn't say this before, but you could do this holding onto the wall as well, right? And so the third time we come up, you're going to release your hands. We're going to bring our hands down to our sides. Feet are still a comfortable distance apart. We're going to inhale, arms up, exhale into a little chair. Make sure you let your ankles, knees, and hips bend. Inhale up, exhale down. And this last time when you come down, we're going to hold the position, take your hands to your heart center, and then possibly lift your heels up off the ground. Make sure that low back is feeling good, that you're using both sides of your feet, not just the big toe or the little toe side. And then we're going to carefully bring those heels down to the ground. Inhale, come on up. We're going to make our way down towards a squat. So whatever you need, a block, blanket under your heels, come down into a squat of some sort. Seeing if you can ground down evenly, heels and toes. Finding some level of comfort, allowing your back to round here as you gently take the chin towards the chest. hopefully finding some level of comfort while you're here. And then in your time, when you're ready, you're going to come all the way down to the ground. And we're going to end up on our back bodies. Before you do that, I thought we might play a little bit, but I only want you to do this if it feels good for you, right? So my thought is, you're going to inhale up, roll down, and come back up, okay? And you'll want to make sure that there's nothing behind you that could hurt you. And just notice, like how it feels to roll through your spine. And you can hold your legs in whatever way is appropriate for you. You can also just choose to lay on your back. And then one of these times, when you come back, I want you to stay on your back body and carefully bring your feet to the floor one at a time. And then we're gonna stretch the legs and the arms out. So it's like you're standing with your arms raised overhead. And we're gonna slide the feet or walk the feet over to the right side. And your hips stay on the ground. Then you're gonna walk your arms and your head over to the right as well. And if you find that that left arm is dangling in the air, I want you to bring it down to your side, right? So the hips and shoulders stay on the ground, and as well as your arms and legs, right? So if this arm doesn't make it down to the ground, bring it down to the side of your body. And this is a static pose, so we stay in the pose. And as you can probably tell, the shape of your body, we call it banana pose. And it's a nice little stretch, so I want you to focus on that left side of your rib cage as you're here, as you're breathing, and see if you can feel those little muscles in between the ribs, intercostal muscles, stretching as you breathe. Now, on one of these inhales, you're going to make your way back to the center with your legs, your head, and your arms. And then in your own time, again, you're going to slide or walk the feet over to the left, and then start to take your head, shoulders, arms over to the left as well. And again, seeing if you keep your hips, your shoulders, your hands, your feet on the floor. And again, if that right arm is dangling, you're bringing it down to your side. And you're breathing as you hold that position. Long, smooth, gentle breaths, seeing if you can feel the stretching in your rib cage as you're breathing. And when you're ready, on an inhale, we're going to come back to the center. And hopefully you have a block that's within the reach of your hands. We're going to take that block and put it between our knees or your thighs, whatever's more comfortable. Feet are going to be, about hip width apart. And walk those heels as close to your buttocks as it feels comfortable. We're going to keep our arms on the ground. Inhale, we're going to press down with the arms, lift up the hips and the chest. Exhale, come down to the ground. Inhale is up. Exhale is down. And for many of us, having that block between our legs doesn't allow us to come up as high as we might normally. So just know that that's a possibility. Now, next time your hips come down to the ground, very carefully, I want you to lift your feet off the ground. We're still holding on to that block. Possibly our lower legs are parallel with the floor and our feet are flexed. You might take your arms out to the side for balance. Now here, what I want you to do, coming at an angle, we're going to reach the knees towards the right hand. Inhale as center, exhale as we twist. And then you come back to the center on your inhale, exhale, knees towards the left. So we're alternating sides.
and you come down at a little bit of an angle. Now, if this causes discomfort in your back, you can have your feet on the ground and get rid of the block and just twist your knees to the sides. This is definitely a lot more work with your feet up in the air. Be sure to keep breathing. And when you come back to the center after the left side, we're going to take that block out and stretch our feet up towards the ceiling. We haven't done this in a long time, so stay with me here. So what I want you to do, you're going to have your arms out to the side or close to your body, whatever gives you the most leverage. You're going to lift up your hips and bring your hips over to the right. Then you come back to the center. I know we're trying to lift the biggest, for many of us, the biggest, heaviest, got the biggest bones. Lift them up and go to the left. So you're just going center, right, center, left. Try to keep your legs together. It's okay if the knees bend. We're using our core to use this, big part, big muscles, big bones in our body. And I know it's a lot of work, so next time you finish the left and come to the center, let's hug those knees into your chest. You might take them in a circle, or you might just squeeze them. And then one of these times as you come through the center with your knees, I just want you to bring your hands or your forearms to the front of your knees and just let the weight of your arms press your knees towards your chest. From here, we'll hold on to the right knee. And some of you may want to reach towards that right flexed foot and bring the lower leg at a diagonal across the body. And we're going to stretch the left leg away, but let your heel hover over the ground. So it's like doing pigeon prep pose on your back. Then we're going to take that right foot and point it towards the ceiling and come into like a half happy baby. So you might hold on to the back of your thigh or the outside of your right foot. And then carefully bring in your left knee. We're going to hold on to the left knee, possibly hold the flexed left foot at a diagonal across the body. And then we're going to stretch out the right leg and let that heel hover over the ground. So this is like an upside down pigeon prep pose. And then if you'd like, pointing the bottom of the left foot towards the ceiling and holding the back of your thigh or calf or the outside of the foot as you're in like a half happy baby. And as you start to feel complete with this, we're going to bring in the right knee, do a full happy baby, whatever that looks like for you. It might be holding behind your knees or the back of the thighs or your calves or your feet. Some of you might like to move side to side or remain stationary. And then when you feel ready, you're going to release your legs and take your feet to the ground one at a time. And we are going to, how y'all doing? Good. Back body's good, feeling safe. Yeah. All right, what I'm thinking about doing now is making a little roll. So starting off with the Tadasana of the blanket, mountain pose of the blanket, and making a roll. And for some of you, that roll might be too big, so you might not roll it all the way. We're going to place it vertically on our mat, and your butt stays on the floor here, but we want the back body and the head possibly on the blanket. So it's a modified
fish pose, right? And then if it feels good, your legs are straight or your knees are bent. And then as you're laying here, I invite you to close your eyes and just start to focus on your breath. And make sure that you're as comfortable as you can be. And if you're not, you know, like, because for some of us, having that blanket down the center of our spine might not be totally relaxing, right? So what would help you feel really comfortable in this position? It might be getting rid of the roll, it might be bending the knees. Long, smooth, gentle breaths. Now from here, in your own time, I want you to ask your body what position it wants to be in for Shavasana. You may want to remain here. You may want to get rid of that roll. You may want to put that roll under the roll blanket under your knees. But asking your body, maybe putting on socks and jackets, or covering yourself with a blanket. As you get yourself set up, checking in always to make sure that you are as comfortable as you can be. Yes, well, just one. So long, smooth, gentle breaths. And as you're breathing in today, if it sounds inviting, you might invite in a gentle golden light. Breathing in, filling up your head as you breathe in that golden light. Knowing that it's a warm, soothing, healing, gentle light. As your head begins to fill with the light, with each exhale, inviting that light to start to move down through your entire body. So still breathing in the golden light, exhaling it into your neck and your arms, hands and fingertips, down your entire torso, the front and the back and the sides. Still breathing in golden light, inviting that light into your hips and pelvis, down through your legs and feet, and to the tips of your toes. Until eventually you're this golden orb of gentle, healing light. And if you have particular parts of your body that feel that they need you need some extra care, intensify the light in that particular part of your body. Inviting that light to repair cells, to remove toxins, whatever it is that sounds most inviting. Shri Krishna Ishayatishvaram Samprapta Chakran Kana Ashyasaram Shri Nudnarangen Dayata Samarpita Swami Shri Krishnamacharya Viruvaryamite Nirodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Kurtudaya Yogacharyam Krishnamaryam Guruvaryamaham Bhaje Krishna Sori Daya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathayam Vandeham Yoga Deshikam Shri Guru Namaha. So welcome back to your breath and your body. If that golden light is still hovering around, you can invite it to dissipate or carry it along with you through your day. And in your own time, as you're ready, starting to make those slow, thoughtful movements, what would feel really yummy to gently reawaken. Welcome back, everyone. I invite you to, in your comfortable seat, whatever that looks like in this moment, just to take one hand onto your chest. We do this often. One hand below your navel, or you might have it on your diaphragm, whatever feels best to you. And just taking 3 full breaths. Inhaling nose, chest, belly, exhaling belly, chest, nose. Then noticing how you feel throughout your body, and I'd like to thank you all for being here in person, those online, and thinking about how you're going to move out into your day today. I love that chant that I did. It's actually the Invocation to Krishnamacharya and Desikachar, the tradition that I teach in. And I think I may start our classes with that from now on. I've been thinking about that for a while. I used to do that all the time. But I do want to acknowledge all of my teachers, past and present, and the lands that I've lived and worked on. And if you want to join me in the sound home, let's take a nice deep inhale. Namaste.